Everything's working. It's good. This podcast is brought to you by MinervaBeauty.com.
Welcome to the Beck podcast. Woke up this way. He's got a lot of cool stuff he's going to show you today. The latest news, industry topics, and business tips. For all hairstylists and salon owners, it's time to flip the script. Grab your precision scissors, barber combs, and swivel twist razors. Let's cut a bob, a quick Shag Pixie cut with a little bit of flavor. Check out the live classes, product reviews, let's rock on. Don't forget to check out freesaloneducation.com. I woke up this way. It's gonna be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. I woke up this way. It's gonna be a great day.
How'd you wake up today, Carly? Under the weather.
A little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
But duty calls.
You're here.
Yes.
But you're here. Welcome to the podcast today, guys. Today, fun show. First off, we're back. And we were gone for a little bit. Had a huge shoot last week. A lot of work.
A lot.
A lot of work. And then this week, just kind of catching back up. It was crazy. My mom was actually in town over the weekend. Hayden was in the school play.
The star.
He was Mowgli in the Jungle Book. And then
We had a class.
And then a class on Monday. Wow, it was a lot. So we did all that, and then just been catching up the last couple of days. But we're back here live with you guys, so I can see you all in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Really excited to get back to doing this. We'll do it again tomorrow. That's the plan. And today we're gonna cut a Shag Pixie. I've been working on this haircut just over the last week, really trying to fine tune it. And I've done a Shag Pixie before, but I really feel like I'm starting to figure out one that I really like a lot that has a good result. So I want to show you guys that today. So we'll walk through that. This podcast is brought to you by MinervaBeauty.com. If you guys are looking to upgrade your salon furniture, they are the best. And I'm not being, I'm being very serious. They've furnished our whole salon. They're affordable. They have everything pretty much in stock all the time. They have a huge warehouse that we've been to in Atlanta. They're super nice people. So if you're looking to upgrade your salon furniture, they've supported us for a long time. So make sure you support them when that time comes that you're ready to make that jump and, make your salon look better. Let's see. Hello, everyone. Where are you from? Where are you watching from? Let's see that in the chat. Watching on YouTube, Facebook. I think we're on all the different Facebook feeds, even our Facebook community. We're on Twitch, which I don't even know.
Sweet.
0 people watch on Twitch, but whatever. And we're also on Twitter. So
Awesome.
We're all over the place. All right. So to get into the show, we have a couple things about Facebook that I want to talk about today, because I feel like Facebook is... A lot of hairdressers aren't utilizing Facebook as much, but I want to talk about the importance of Facebook groups, which I think took off a couple years ago, and it was a very popular thing, and then everyone got shoved into groups they didn't want to be a part of. And so now we all hate Facebook groups, but it seems to me that Facebook is still really trying to push what groups are, and they added a group section to the app. Did you notice it? So I thought that was interesting that they did that. It's this whole group section. I follow dogs.
Yeah.
Yes. We're live in the group right now. But you can see that it organizes only your group stuff. So what I love about that, and I've talked about this in my social media classes that I'm teaching at Cosmoprof, I think groups are the way to go, even above and beyond just having a salon page, because in a group, you're able to not only add your customers, but they're more apt to see it.
Yeah.
Facebook isn't currently saying, oh, we're going to charge you to show things to your group. They want that group interaction.
Right.
So if you were going to do any type of styling tips for your customers, or just try to build a community of your salon customers, I think that's the best way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I like that, I like that they added that little group area, because this way it's less like, it's not taking up your whole feed.
Yes.
Your regular feed, because there have been times where like I'll accidentally hit the group button and I follow like, I don't know, like Bearded Dragon. I'm in a Bearded Dragon group, and I'm like, man, why are all these posts about Bearded Dragon? But then I realized that I pressed that button, but it's nice because then it's separate and it's not like taking up your whole feed, and I like it.
I totally agree. So that's what. So I want to push you guys to, if you own a salon, or even if you're just a studio stylist, not just a studio stylist, but if you're a studio stylist and you're working by yourself, it's just you. It's still a great thing to do, is to make a group for your business and then start marketing inside that group, and you'll get more attention kind of pushed into that. So again, Facebook's not going anywhere, and I think that people should be paying attention to it. Everybody's building only their brand on really Instagram. They're not really focused on anything else, and I think you need to be focused on everything. It doesn't matter, and we had this conversation last time we were on the show, I think, but it doesn't matter. Like, I'm putting this out to our Facebook group, maybe 11 people are watching, but that's 11 real people, right? So, like, people get afraid of not showing stuff because of the amount of people that might watch or not watch, but it doesn't matter how many people see it. If they're real humans that are watching it, it's a good thing. So I would start it.
It's a good way to get like, if you need models or something like that too, it's a good like avenue to go. Like, if you're having trouble and you don't have like, a lot of friends that want to come in and be models, there are like group pages for your area that if you say, hey, I need a hair model, then
that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that, but like that's actually a really good idea, because I need models.
I need models.
So we should hit up those groups.
Yep.
That's a good idea. But yeah. And groups are a great way to kind of tie yourself into a local community as well. That's a good call, Carly. Hey, even sick.
Yeah.
Even under the weather.
I'm on top of it.
Yeah, she's on top of it. Very cool. So utilize the groups. Anytime Facebook puts out something, I think it's good to jump on it. People wait too long, and then they're like, oh, I'll make a group. You're making a group 3 years later, all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe you're late. But they just put this out. They have the group section. They're going to be showcasing that because it's their new product. Anytime you have a new product, you're going to put it out there for people. So make sure you're utilizing it. Start making a group for your salon. The next thing, same thing, it's still Facebook. What I thought was cool is that brands are starting to use augmented reality ads within Facebook. And the first one that I saw was a sunglass company.
Okay.
So like literally you'll be scrolling down and all of a sudden you'll see yourself wearing a pair of sunglasses. And so you'll know, and then you can purchase it right there.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, what if this was like a hair type thing as a salon, and you could be like scrolling down and all of a sudden you see this hairstyle on yourself. It might be kind of fun. You can flip through, especially you look at your mom, who we've been talking to about her haircut, right? Yeah. If we could send her haircuts that we think are cool for her, and she can flip through and see them on herself, I just think that's such a cool thing that I don't know how the hair industry is getting there, but I do know that it's coming. So it's kind of fun to see how that might work, and seeing it sunglasses on your face kind of puts it more real, like it really is happening.
I feel like that would be good for like cuts, but maybe not so much color.
Yeah.
Because like,
right.
You have someone coming in that wants that like gray or like
And it doesn't look
and they're-
anything like that when
yeah.
they leave. Yeah. I
But
agree. And what
the
do you
cut-
guys what do you guys think? Because that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the expectation level would be high.
Yes.
So what do you guys think? Are you excited for that? There's so many songs. Like this is where I get a little like, as I'm teaching, a lot of people don't even know what a hashtag is yet, let alone moving into this industry. It's kind of a scary thought that
Yeah.
you don't even know what is currently happening. So how are you going to adapt when things start happening like that?
Yeah.
You know? All right, let's see. Good morning, Matt. Have a good day and a fabulous weekend. Again, thank you for sharing your talent and knowledge with us. Dawn. You're welcome, Dawn. Amber, good morning from Minnesota. Let's see. Love listening in live, but kind of busy right now. Nice. Joanne. We'll catch it up later. That's the whole point. I mean, honestly, we're live. We enjoy everyone that is tuning in live. There's almost 100 people on throughout social media. We enjoy every single one of you guys for tuning in and being a part of it live, but we don't ever expect. This is more of a hangout to talk about hair stuff, to get you guys involved, and then to do some hair and film it all so that we can put it out on social media later. Can you show us a haircut for coarse curly hair shoulder length? Yes. I think we need to prep a little bit more for that, so that's a little bit more difficult. Like, I can't just jump in and do that today, but that's something we can do in the future for sure, Susan. Let's see. I think that's good. I think we caught up with everybody talking. If you have a question, seems like the chat's working over on the TV as well. I'm going to start cutting some hair. I think that was a good conversation for the podcast. If you're listening to this later on iTunes and you want to see the haircut part, you can always go to YouTube and watch the full version on video. But that is the podcast part for now. Thank you guys for listening. And now I'm going to start cutting some hair. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to put on some tunes. I already have my mic on, though. Hello. Okay, so you guys let me know if you can hear me. What is our sound quality here? Are we a 1, which is terrible, or a 10, which is great? You guys let me know over there, and I can make some adjustments before we start the class. Here we go. Eddie says, just signed in. What's in the news? What's in the news? Facebook, stepping up their game. All right, so Eddie welcomes. Susanna says a 10. Holly says a 10. A Cupo Champions. I like that name. Let's see. All right, cool. So, all right, guys, so we're going to get started. Today, what we're going to focus on is cutting a Shag Pixie. Basically, what that means for me, I don't know the exact definition of a Shag Pixie, but for me, it's a fringier edge along the Pixie. It's not taken really tight, but we're going to take it tight within the interior, and we're going to disconnect her, and we're going to disconnect and create some really fun shaggy layers on the top of the haircut. So that's really what we're going to do. I hope you guys are excited about it like I am. Let's get started with the cut. Here we go. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is I want to start off sectioning. I wanted to do this with you guys because the sectioning is typically pretty simple with haircuts that I do, but for me today, it's just going to be a little extra effort put into it because I want to separate all the different quadrants. It makes the haircut easier, and it keeps you guys, keeps us nice and organized when we're working. So first things first, I'm going to comb the hair directly back, just like that. And then I'm going to take a center parting straight down the center. Now, I'm not worried about how far back I go because the first section I'm trying to make is a triangle right in the fringe area. So I take that center parting just like that. And we zoom in. All right, so center parting down the center. And then I'm going to go, you can look at the head shape here, and it's very simple to know where that hair wants to fall forward. So if you look at, you place your comb right on the forehead here, and I tilt the comb back and forth, I can see where it rocks back. That's where I want to take that triangle section. So I go right in the front here, I find that point where it rocks, and then I go from that point down to just the edge of the eyebrow. So I'll comb that over. Let me twist so you guys can see. So right here, right to that edge of the eyebrow there, and I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So I'll comb this hair back, slide a clip up under just to separate it. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So from that point, draw it straight down to the edge of the eyebrow. So that gives me a triangle right in the front of the head. So I'll comb this hair back, just like that. And now I'm going to comb my triangle straight up in the air. Rose is saying, so excited I'm doing one tonight. Sweet. Well, I'm doing this for you, Rose. All right, so we twist that triangle away, and then I clip straight down underneath, nice and tight. Oh, that's not tight. Just kidding. All right, twist that around. I'll slide the clip in to hold it right there. All right, so that is our triangle section. Let me tilt down so you guys can see right there. Just going back about 2 inches on the head shape into that center parting. Now I want to connect the parietal ridge. So I'm going to comb the hair back, get it going in the direction I want it to flow, and then I'm going to take my parting. So I comb this straight back, and then I take it from that corner along the parietal. It's really low parietal. I want to keep it right where the head pretty much stays flat here. And then I'm going to work it around to the center back, right about mid-crown. So I'll comb that section up. So just like that. And after I take my parting, I will go through and just clean things up a little bit, make sure that they're nice and clean lines. That'll keep me organized throughout the haircut. So I'll twist this section away. After I twist it away, I'll show it to you guys. All right, so you can see that's low parietal. I would say parietal ridge sits right about here, so just a little bit lower than that. Keeps it on this flat angle here, so I know I'm working with the same kind of elevation and angles on this side of the head. And then I work that line all the way around to center back. And now I'm going to do the same thing, continue that line around parietal ridge. And a little tip I like to use at this point is to hold my finger, my thumb, right at the corner where I want to end this parting. So I'll keep my thumb there. I comb the hair over, and then I follow from this point in the back around, and I just meet up with my thumb. And when I meet up with my thumb, I know that my line is exactly where I want it. Then I'll comb the hair up and away. Just like that. You can see the line that we've created. Turn the head, clean this line up a little bit in the back. Just like that. Now I'll twist it away and clip it. Claire's saying, I knew it was going to be a Pac-Man parting. You got it, Claire. Pac-Man parting. We got the mouth here, and then a U shape around. We just broke it into two because we're going to cut those two sections separate, but we've got our triangle in the front, which is going to be our fringe area. The thing I like about creating that triangle in the front is that she could wear this either way. It's balanced either way. It's balanced right now with the amount of density and the amount of hair that I have in it. So really, if I wanted to cut a side swept bang this way, I could, or the other way, or a straight fringe. Really, I have a lot of options with that triangular section in the front. So the last little bit that I'm going to section down is straight down center back. And I don't really like to overcomplicate sectioning. This is more sectioning than I would normally do. And in the salon, I may not do all of this. I would definitely do this here. I probably wouldn't section out the sides. I'd go through and cut it, and I would just stay organized for myself. But for you guys and for a visual, I think it's good, or if you're just starting out, is to really section things away, because it'll keep you organized. And the more organized you are, the more consistent you'll be in your cut. So the last little bit that I want to do here is I want to separate. I separate down center back, and then I'm going to separate the sides. So right here. Just like this, separating the front and the back, but I go a little bit further back because I want to pretty much connect this line. So this is something that, since I had the chance to hang out with Sam Villa a couple weeks ago, now I'm really thinking differently about the way that I separate the front and the back. Instead of going right directly above the ear or even a little bit back from it, I go a little further back, which pretty much matches up this hairline. So the density here is all the same, that long bit. And then the density from this section all the way over stays the same as well. So I know what I'm working with as I'm working through. So just taking this section a little further back than you would gives you a better line to work with. All right. So I'm going to clip the front away. Just like that. There's my back. And I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side, and then we're ready to cut. So same thing over here. Zoom in. So same thing. Following down to the hairline, just meeting it up. Just like that. Going deep into my clip collection here. There we go. All right. So now we can start the haircut. We've got our sectioning. Let me just give a little breakdown of that real quick. We are filming this for later as well. Okay, so sectioning, pretty simple. We got a triangle section in the top here, and then we go straight down center back. We create that U shape around the parietal ridge, just sitting a little bit lower so that we're working on the same plane on the side sections. And then when we section off the side, we go straight down, following where the hairline is here, connecting that to the top crown area right there, separating the front and the back. That tends to be the best sectioning for me, to really just work on the different panels that I have to work with and knowing exactly where I'm at throughout the haircut. So I'm going to spin. We're going to start on the bottom right hand or bottom left hand side of the head. So Dawn's asking how long I usually give myself for a haircut. So for me, every haircut I block out about 45 minutes. That tends to be a pretty good amount of time. Like I'll spend the first 5 minutes sectioning the haircut, or I'll move right into the haircut depending on what it is. And then, so the first 15 minutes is sectioning, wet cut, maybe even getting into that 20-minute mark, then a blow dry for about 15 minutes, and I do about 5 to 10 minutes of dry detail work, and that is a typical client experience. If I was doing something with a really hard line or something more precise, maybe I would take an hour, but a typical, on average in the salon, I'm spending about 45 minutes on a customer's haircut. All right, so still splitting the back in half. So somebody's saying that how can we cut faster? Corporate wants 16 minutes at the most. So here's the thing. You can't do a great haircut in 16 minutes. So for me, corporate's asking you to just get through a haircut. They're probably not charging very much for haircuts. The expectation level of your haircut is probably not as, well, I mean, it might still be, people might still really want a good haircut, but the reality is you're not going to get a good haircut in 16 minutes. So typically it's charged less, they expect it quicker, and the expectation level is a little bit different. When you're coming in and I'm spending 45 minutes to an hour on your haircut and I'm charging $80 for your haircut, or even let's say $40 or whatever it is, and it doesn't matter, it's based on your area, but they're spending their hard-earned money. They want a great haircut. You can't do it in that amount of time. So I would personally, I couldn't work for somebody that wanted me to do a haircut in 16 minutes. I would quit. And that's just me. So I can't tell you how to do a haircut faster, but I can tell you that I would quit that job and I would go find a place that respected what we do as professionals and had a higher expectation for the work that you're putting out. That's what I would do. All right. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this haircut. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split the right through here. I'm going to split at the occipital bone. So I'm going to come through here and just draw a line straight over. So a nice slight diagonal forward horizontal line. I'm going to bring this hair up and clip it away. So we'll slide this up underneath. Hopefully you can see that. So now I've got a panel right here of hair. So now what I want to do is I want to push length over to the side of the head. So when I take my first section, comb that over. Let me see how I can show you guys this here. All right, I'm going to go to this side. Okay. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my section in my hand and I'm going to pivot. I want to grab the hair at basically a horizontal slight diagonal forward, and I'm going to hold the hair and then I'm going to shift it almost like we're creating a scooped or concave feel. I get that this is not a concave layer. We're building layers up here. But if you thought about the line that you're creating, it's going to be a scooped shape, and we're going to do that by shifting our finger angle out, which is going to give us the shortest point in the center and the longest point towards the outside. Right? So here's the first line that we're creating. I'm actually going to take this down. I don't need that. So I comb this over. I take my first parting, which is a slight diagonal forward. I scoop the hair into my comb. I bring it into my hand like that, and then I shift, and you could see I'm starting to lose that length's going away. It's disappearing, but I've still got all this interior length, and I'm going to come in here and cut. So I'm going to clean that up, but that's what I want you guys to realize we're doing here. All right, so just like that. So now I take slight diagonal forward. I bring it into my hands like this. I know I'm blocking you guys. It's driving me nuts too. So I put this hair into my hands like this. I shift my finger angle out, and now I go in and I cut short to long. So now we've got our short interior, long exterior, and I continue up the head that way. So I come out here, come over top. I bring that down to the previous, just slightly down. I shift my hand out, and I come in here and I cut short to long. Just like that. Again, nice short interior, long exterior. And I'm going to continue with a traveling guide up the head shape, shifting my hand out, cutting short to long. Now I'm working with more hair. So I recomb. I'm going to cut all the way across. This length doesn't matter. The longer the better. So if you don't even want to cut any of the side, you want to disconnect that interior, that's totally fine. I like to have a little bit of a connection because we're going to go through and cut this in the dry portion of the cut. So don't feel like that length needs to be exactly where you want it. The longer the better, and we can cut it later. So now I'm at the low crown area. I shift my hand back, but this is going to be the beginning of my stationary guide. And also notice my elevation here. My elevation stays up. I'm grabbing a new section. I'm keeping it straight out from the head. So there's been no weight buildup here in the head shape, but we're pushing that length off to the outside. Now, as I move up this part of the head, as the head starts to curve away, here, let me just So as the head shape starts to curve away here, and I'm getting into this point of the head, this is where I was cutting, keeping everything flat. Now when I shift and go into this panel, this is all now going to come down to that point. So a stationary guide bringing everything down to me. So you'll see I take this next section, still slight diagonal forward. Thank you, Carly. Now I bring the hair, instead of coming straight out from the head, I bring it down to that stationary guide. So I bring it down and I cut. This, down and cut. So still keeping that length, still keeping it shorter, but now we're starting to build up a slight graduation in the back. That's going to help with the side view, the profile view of the head shape. See if I can. So still bringing everything down, cutting short to long here. Bringing everything over to me. So you can still see that length. You can see how long that is. But inside here, it's nice and short. Okay. Go. All right, so same thing. Biggest difference here is now my fingers are going to be pointed the opposite direction. Well, not the opposite direction, but I'm working this way. My thumb's going that way. So I take slight diagonal forward parting. And instead, now I'm going to shift back like this. So now I've got the length in my fingers here. And I cut up. And I've got the longest point here at the tip of my finger and the shortest point in the interior of my hand. That, shift, and cut in. And I'll use some of that previously cut hair as a guide through, so I know I'm connecting both sides. So same thing, working over. Coming out. Hardest thing about the right hand side is that now my elbow is up in the air, and when your elbow goes up in the air, your hand wants to drop. So a lot of people tend to end up with this side a little bit longer because they're not focused on how their elbow is dropping and how their arm is dropping down. So they start to build up more of a graduation early. So you want that to be consistent all the way through. So now we're getting to that low crown area. I'll do one more section straight out from the head, bringing that up to me, cutting across, connecting both sides, like that. And now we move into our stationary guide. So now I'm bringing everything down. So notice my elevation every time is staying the same now. Last bit. All right. So now we've got all this extra length sitting on the outer perimeter of the cut. That's all stuff that we're going to play with in a little bit. So now I want to move into the sides. The sides are pretty simple. We're going to work stationary for them as well. So I'll pull down the clip from the side here, and I'm going to be working up into this portion. So right about there. And I'm going to connect the piece from this side over to the front of the head. So I want a consistent line all the way across. So I'm going to bring this up just like this, and we're going to go nice and short. This is a pixie cut, and we're going to be pushing weight down to the outer perimeter. So I'm going to lift the hair up just like this, and I'm going to cut a short to long line right here on top of the head. Now, one thing I like to do is just kind of cut that bulk off first. Then I go in, and now I can easily cut my line here across the head. I'm going to bring that across here, cutting my line, just like that. Now I've got a nice short piece. I take another horizontal parting, comb that up to that stationary guide, and we're going to cut that straight across. That. You can see, nice and short, pushing that weight down to the bottom. On the last little bit, bring the rest up. Cut across. So again, all this length here, this is definitely not pixie length at this point, but we will be cutting this hair. We'll be cutting into it at the very end. So we want that extra length to play around with. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Kathleen's asking, what tips do you have for maintaining the correct elevation that you want? Well, so I think if you just take a second and you stop and you think about exactly what you're doing within your elevation, I think that that's probably the key thing for me, is just being aware of where I'm at throughout the head. I think about the elevation up and down, and I think about the over direction back and forth. And that's what I'm thinking about the entire time. When I elevate here, for instance, when I bring this hair up and I grab my guide from the side, and I work right here to cut across. I'm going to cut some of this bulk off first. So I'm cutting it not at the length the haircut's going to be, but just so that I can hold the hair in my hand easier. So I bring this up. I've got my guide. So now all I'm thinking about is not only am I holding this hair up in the air, but where am I putting it? I want it right directly over the head. I'm also thinking about where is her head? Is it straight up and down? If her head is straight up and down, it's a lot easier for me to understand where I'm at because I know where her head is, if that makes sense. So I know where her head is now. I come across and I cut. I'm paying attention to what that elevation is. And obviously there's not really any over direction horizontally, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm just cutting a straight line across just like that. So now, again, the stationary guide is a little bit easier because I'll come across horizontally just like that with my line, and I bring this straight up. Now, if I'm not paying attention, I might end up bringing it here or wanting to bring it closer to myself because naturally you want to pull things in. You don't want to push things away. So I just keep focused on the last line that I cut and where I cut it, and that's where I bring the hair to. So just like that, bring it up, and that's where I cut. And the last bit here, straight up. So now, again, we got our short layers, we have our long pieces, and we're continuing through the cut. So you can see it's starting to look pretty shag-ish, which is going to be really good for the end result, obviously, but we're going to, again, cut into these pieces. All right, so the last little bit is these top sections here. So that's going to be brought all the way back to me. Again, kind of working with a stationary guide. We're going to travel for a couple steps, and then it's going to become stationary for me. So just like this, comb the hair down. I'm going to wet this down a little bit. So we'll wet that down. So now I'm going to take a vertical parting here down the head, and I'm going to bring that back to me. And there's my line and my guide from the back. I'm going to bring it straight up from the head here, and that's where I'm going to start to cut. And I'm cutting straight across a nice straight line over. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk one more step up here. And then when I get to this point, I'm going to start my over direction back to a stationary guide. So one more, like that, like that. Bringing that slightly back. Got my guide. Just like that. And then everything else is going to come back to that point. Just like that. Whoops. And then the last bit, same thing. Back to the stationary guide. Welcome back. There we go. we go. Push a little length to the front, which we're going to mess around with later. For me, a lot of times cutting hair is pushing hair where you want to mess with it later. Like, it's not always about just taking hair off. It's about creating that movement and doing stuff with that length that you're pushing. So for this section, I'm going to take my guide from the opposite side here. I'm going to bring that up, and I'm going to connect this side and the side of this haircut as well. So the two sides coming together, the line. Again, travel the first couple, just like that. I'm going to pull a little bit from the opposite side, make sure that we're all aligned. Traveling through. So now, stationary guide, bringing it back to that point. So this, let's see who's asking. When's this? What shears am I using? So this is the scissor that Mizutani made. It's I designed the things that I like about a scissor, and they made it for me. So I still have a couple left on freesaloneducation.com. You can buy it if you would like. But yeah, it's kind of a collaboration scissor with Mizutani. So, all right, over directing everything straight back here. So now, got that length, push it around. This front fringe area that we left out earlier, I'm actually going to blow dry this, and then I'm going to cut into that dry. So I want to show you guys kind of the result so far. It's very shaggy look to it, but definitely a short haircut appearance. But you can see these shaggy layers throughout, but then the long fringy edges throughout the haircut as well. So then this piece obviously disconnected. We haven't cut it yet. So I want to go through, I want to blow dry this cut, and then we're going to get into the dry cutting portion, which will be the final kind of result of the haircut. A couple tools that I'm going to use. Sam Villa sent me a blow dryer, and I'm in love with this thing. So here is the first tool I'm going to use. This thing is super lightweight, so I think it kind of has everything that I love. It's lightweight, it's simple, there's not much to it, which I like. It's got a kind of a more of a rubbery coating to it, so it's not plastic feeling. It's got grip, which is nice, and it's powerful. So let me use that, and then he sent me also a paddle brush. This thing has like boar bristles inside the bristles, so a lot of tension, which I really like, and a lot of shine. So I'm going to work the hair back and forth. Carly, can you grab me some of the Paul Mitchell Invisible Wear stuff? Like the Cloud Whip and maybe like the styling cream. So we're blow drying through. You can see those layers starting to pop on the top. So I'm just doing a flat wrap technique, pulling the hair back and forth throughout the head. I don't want any parting in the hair. And I'm just working the hair into its natural fall. Actually, I'm gonna show that new Paul Mitchell dryer or iron. Yeah. So another new fun. I mean, we all love new tools, right? So, and who doesn't love a new pink tool? Let me tell you, California Dreamin'. So this is a new Paul Mitchell California Dreaming Express Ion style. Thing I'm psyched about with this is the size of it because it's a 1 inch. So showcase this for you guys. Thank you for Paul Mitchell sending new stuff. I'll give away this bag. Who wants the bag? All right, here we go. All right. Let's see how fast this thing fires up. 0 to 390. I won't go 400. Let's see. 70. 60 seconds. It's already at 150. 410 in 60 seconds. 200. 250. It's pretty fast. Pretty fast. Smells new. 300. Oh, geez. Really ripping myself here. And 390. It's pretty fast. Joshua, was your class on Monday in New Hope? Oh, I was at your class. Yeah, Josh. And this haircut we kind of did in the class. All right, so we'll start ironing the hair out here. Love a new flat iron. I love a new flat iron almost as much as I love new white shoes. Not quite as much, but almost. All right, so I'm just going through the hair, just smoothing it out. I did the scalp to mid shaft already in the blow dry, so I don't really worry much about that, but I want to smooth these ends just to give myself, obviously, to start kind of see the shape working. I like to smooth out all my haircuts because it allows me to see kind of the weight buildup and how that's working through. You can see how seamless. This color technique is obviously not for this haircut either. We will probably be coloring this. But you can see how seamless these layers are because of the elevation that we had throughout the cut. So it gives it a really nice kind of flat feeling because nothing was dropped below 90 degrees. Most of it was even over 90 degrees. So you could see the benefits of that. And you can see these short pieces, which are really fun. And then it gets longer and longer towards the outside. So this is honestly, before being kind of more of a pixie cut, without cutting these pieces, it is really more of a shag, just a short shag. So you'll notice when I take my sections, I work at a diagonal, and then I comb the hair back into my hand just like I would cut it. And I hold it nice and tight with the tension, and then I slide the iron in, and I keep that tension in my fingers until I pull the iron through. That gives me less passes with the iron, so that means less damage and a smoother result because of the tension that I'm holding in my fingers. So you should never have to go over and over hair to get it to smooth out. Go. We'll work across the top. For that front triangle section that we left disconnected here, I'll go through diagonally this way, and then I'll make an X and cross over the other way, bring the hair over the other way. That way I'm not putting in a part. I want this to be flexible. I want to be able to kind of style the hair either way, and I want to be able to cut it however I want. So I don't want to have the hair forced in any direction. Oh, I was like, lovely color pink. This is yellow. Forgot the iron. The iron is pink. It is a nice color pink. It's got a palm tree on it, too. California dreaming. It's gray outside here. They should make a New Hope iron and put a pine tree and gray skies. Yeah, yeah. All right. Any chance you can test out that from KC? I don't know if I know what that is. I'll test out anything anybody sends. People send a lot of things, but a lot of it doesn't make it on here because I don't put things on here I don't love to use. All right, almost there, guys. Almost there. You can see that pop of layers. Okay. A little bit in the back. Okay, here we go. So now we're going to do some dry cutting. I'm going to work this front fringe area first because I just want to get that kind of rolling. And I'm going to do a lot of slide cutting with this. So the way slide cutting works is I'm going to take pieces, I'm going to pinch them in my fingers like this, and I'm going to come over top and just slide down, half closing the scissor onto the hair. So let me just zoom in a little bit. So here we go. So I take pieces and I look at how this is going to live. I want this to be more of a shattered fringe, not necessarily an angle too much to it. So I'm going to go through here. I already have my layering in the top. So now all I have to do is just take that triangle section that we left out in the beginning and start to etch in that finished look and style that I want to create. So I just slide the scissor through here. This, I'm going to open up her eyes. I don't want to cover her eyes. So I'm just going to slowly start working towards that goal. You could also do the tease cutting technique. I'm not going to do that today because I want to softly slide in. I don't want to come underneath and cut too much. But depending on how textured you wanted the front to look, you could do that. So right now I'm just working this length off first to really give me more of an idea of what I'm working with. You can start to see it coming together a bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to section off some of this front, some of the density in this cut. And I want to work just on the front first couple inches where that triangle was. I like the length of these layers here, so I don't really want to cut into them too much, actually. Use this. So now I'm going to lift the hair up here. I'm just going to start to cut into it, just with a slight elevation. So I lift it up with my scissor. And then I put the scissor in the blade about 45 degrees from the cutting line. And this, what I'm really making sure of, where I think a lot of people get freaked out, is cutting too far over. I don't usually cut, especially my first initial cut, never goes past the edge of the eyebrow here. And in that way you ensure that you're not cutting in some sideburns into your client's haircut. Going through there. So now I'm starting to open up the eyes. I'm doing it slowly because you can't put hair back on, right? I could just stamp in a section, but I want these to be textured looking. So I want to have that through there. So I just do it little by little. When will I have a color class? We just got done prepping. Well, Carly got done prepping a mannequin so that we could color it. We're going to do some shadow root. Maybe tomorrow. All right. So when you let this down, the density comes back over, but you've got the length where you want it. And then you can go back in, cut into it a little bit. So now I'm going to come back to the fringe a little bit, but I want to start building the rest of the cut. I just wanted to get an idea of where we were at. So now, comb some of this hair forward. We've got our lines that we cut on the top that was straight across, so I want to add some texture into that. And then the last thing we're going to do is finish off the sides, take some length from those. So I bring the hair back to me, just like this, and I'm going to cut into this line just to soften it, add a little bit of texture. That, take another section across. This was what was over directed back. Go. So notice I'm still pulling the hair exactly where I cut it when it was wet. So I'm not trying to change my lines at all. I want to have this short to long line here, but I just want it to be a little bit lighter and have texture. So same thing on the sides. I'm going to pull the sides up just like we cut it. There's some of my disconnection in there. So I'll comb the top over. Just soften through. Same thing here. Not changing the line. Just cutting in some texture. All right, and the last little bit. First thing I'm going to do is add some Paul Mitchell Invisible Wear Cloud Whip. Let's see if I can. Tone this down a little bit. So this is the Cloud Whip. So it's a nice cream-based product. It's got a slight hold, nothing strong, but it adds texture to the hair, and that's what we're going for. I want to control the hair a little bit and then go in to cut the sides. So product can be your friend in some of these things. So I go through here, move around some of the texture in the hair, pull these pieces, separate it a little bit. I want to see what the haircut's going to do first. And then I'm going to go through with my last tool, which is the twist razor. So here, it's got a 100% cutting side, so that's what I'm going to use here. It also has a texturizing side, which I can use. If you want to get this, it's on freesaloneducation.com. I slide through. I just want to break up some of these pieces. I actually really like the length, and some of you guys are probably asking about cutting on dry hair. Put a little bit of product in there so it glides a little bit better, but I'm just doing some soft detail work, and honestly, a razor blade is sharper than your scissor blade sliding through. So don't be afraid, as long as you have a fresh blade, to work that hair through it. So I slide through and I just cut a little bit of the pieces just to add some separation, and you could even go shorter than this if you wanted to, but I'm actually really liking the current length of this with the layering on top. So face shapes for this haircut. For me, I think what I wouldn't do this on is somebody with a round face shape. I would probably I would have a little bit extra length if they had a longer face or a rounder face. I think that this fits really well with, it's a very round haircut at this point. So it could be a little sleeker in the edges. You would just want to make some adjustments. So let's take, first off, obviously oval face shape. This is a great haircut for. Square face shape, I think it works pretty well for, because this hangs a little bit lower than the jawline, which I think extends out somebody that's squared off. And then somebody with a round face, I like to extend it just a little bit, not so it's not hugging or sitting below, because I think that rounds it off even more. So extend it a little bit longer or even a little bit higher, because when you bring up something, it extends the chin out. So this haircut is versatile. It fits everybody, but you just have to change the lengths a little bit and work it through. Okay. So let me spin it around so you guys can see how it works. So a couple things that I want you guys to notice about this cut. That drop of our elevation in the back, you can see how it starts off nice and layered, hugs the head shape, and then builds out this shape here. I like to create that kind of line that extends into the chin line, or the jawline here, so you could see how that builds up. And then the roundness here, we push some weight into the front so it builds up here, so that kind of expands the shape up. We went in, broke up everything. All that over direction that we did throughout the haircut, that extended all of this length that you're seeing, but we still have these nice short pieces, which make it a fun shag feel. So if you guys have any questions, Susan says, I love this cut. I noticed that you took one side and the back cutting versus both sides. Is it easier to balance both sides or does it matter? So yes, so I did one side and then went over to the opposite side. So I did one side in the back and then I did the opposite side in the back. You could go both ways. I just feel like with that pivot that you're doing on this particular haircut, I think it's definitely a lot easier to just pivot on one side, work your way all the way up the head shape, and then come over to the opposite side, pivot, because you're doing it a little bit different, pivot through it, and just do the second side after. That for me works the best. Love the shaggy look of it. Cool. Yeah, I'm really digging this haircut. It's kind of an evolution. So I like this. It's not super Pixie-like, but it has definitely short layers throughout it. And I just love the messiness of it. I think it's very trendy cut. So if you're looking for something to give your clients, or even have those clients that are sitting with a kind of a longer, maybe like real short bob, but they're looking for something new, this is a fun transition to take them into, just to give them something a little bit more fun. Can this be done for long hair like a long shag? This absolutely can be done that way. The way that you would shift this from a short shag like this to a longer one would probably be doing more concave layering in the back, as opposed to shifting your hand horizontally like this. I would maybe bring everything up like this and shift it that way and cut short to long, because obviously you're not going to shift it here and pull this hair out. You want that length on the bottom. So if you're looking to do a longer shag, you can do all the techniques that we did, bringing it up this way, cutting it, cutting short to long here, cutting the fringe. All of it would be the same. The only difference would be the very back part. So just make that adjustment. All right, cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed this cut. Make sure if you're on our YouTube channel, you subscribe, because if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, anytime we go live, you get an alert, or if I schedule a live stream, you'll get an alert that way as well. It's also a great way to replay this. All right, we're going to finish up the podcast. So I'm going to jump back at the table. We can talk a little bit. I can answer more of your questions. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right. So, what do you think, Carly?
I love it.
Let's go back here. You love it?
Yeah, it's like super fun, really piecey. You can wear it like different ways. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think for me that's the takeaway with this one. It's still like I said, I've been kind of trying to get this haircut figured out. Like how I want to do it on my clients, but I think that this is the best version so far.
It's super. I just like that it's super fun. Like it has like a. I don't know. I was thinking back to my grandmother when she was saying, you know, I'm getting older. Like it's talking about, you know, maybe cutting her hair off, and I was like, gosh, no.
Yeah.
But like, you know, shortcuts don't always have to be so like bland.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is really super fun. I like it.
It's actually fun. Well, it all kind of started because my mom was here.
Yeah.
And she had a bob haircut, and I said, you know, we should cut that off. So we did. So this was like her version, which I'll show you guys. So we kind of did, yeah. So we cut it, and it was shaggy, and we did the same thing, like we left it longer on the edges, but hers is shorter than this, right? So you can see like shaggy. Will it zoom in? Come on, focus. Nope. But anyway, so we went through it and just throughout the edges, but hers was definitely more Pixie-ish, so you could take it even shorter, but the whole technique, everything that I did was the same as we worked it through. So I think it's a really versatile cut, and the shag is just from doing haircuts on YouTube and Instagram, if you put in Shag, it's a very popular search.
It is.
So you definitely aren't going to go wrong recommending that to your clients. And when you change up your client's look, it tends to benefit you in the long run because people are going to notice that they're wearing a trendier haircut.
Yeah.
So, all right, Rose, you're welcome. I really like your... We'll skip that one. Thank you, guys. Like the cool, messy look. Yeah, I always like messy haircuts.
Yeah.
They're always my favorite. All right, Carly.
Yeah.
Hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to work.
Of course.
Appreciate it. Thank you to you guys for tuning in to the show. Can't wait to show you some more stuff tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in to the Woke Up This Way podcast. We'll see you next time. Maybe. Gotta go like this. See ya.
Welcome to the Matt Beck podcast. Woke up this way. He's got a lot of cool stuff he's gonna show you today. The latest news, industry topics, and business tips. For all hairstylists and salon owners, it's time to flip the script. Grab your precision scissors, barber combs, and swivel twist razors. Let's cut a bob, a quick Shag Pixie cut with a little bit of flavor. Check out the live classes, product reviews, let's rock on. Don't forget to check out freesaloneducation.com. I woke up this way. It's gonna be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. I woke up this way. It's gonna be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. Let me show you the way. It's gonna be a great day. Gonna be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. I woke up this way. It's gonna be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it.